What is up, my young ninja monkeys? Sending is here for a tutorial. Something you need to get started learning. Shoulder's still out, though it's getting a lot better, so just trying to remake the intro tutorials, and I got a great one here for you today. In parkour, when you jump from one thing to another, we call that a precision jump, or a pre. Just for all terminology purposes, you need to know that. Now, what you should do though first is watch this video, link in the description. Because basically the only technique that you need for this video is all the stuff that's in that video. It's the basic landing. So basically a precision would just be applying that to greater distances. So if you know the fundamentals, it's the same div. So I'll just get into the brief technique, quickly roll over that, and then I'll just show you the different variations of jump types that we have. That's mostly what this is going to be about. Because when you do a precision jump, it's all about jumping from one thing to another. Sometimes it's flat ground to flat ground, sometimes it's raised to lower, sometimes it's lower to raised. Any combination of things can happen. All of this we just classify as a pre. So when you do a pre, if you saw from the video, what you want to do is make the jump, starting with the landing this time, because it's easier to explain that way. Just like I said in the basic land video, you just want to land on the balls of your feet. When you land on your arches and your heels, your feet will go way past you, and your butt and back will come flying down this way, like such. You don't want that. Under rotating is very common in precision jumps, but it's really not too much of a problem most of the time. Anyway, not the toes either. That'll slip right off. But a nice solid stick on the meat. And the goal of a precision is to be balanced at the end. So a perfect precision jump is called a stick. It's called a stick because of other trades, but it just refers to having balance when you land. For example, that land here, when I had that and I didn't have to move, take my feet off, that's what we would officially classify as a stick. And that's what you want to get every time. Alright, so how to jump far. I guess I'll start with that, then we'll get to the variations. I'm going to go off of basic 2-foot stationary takeoff. Just like a backflip, you're going to want to get your arms involved in this motion. But think of it as reaching out far. You're standing up as far as you can out, and then you just pop off. You jump with your feet, but you also jump with your hips. If you think about getting your hips farther and higher, it'll be a lot easier for you to make bigger jumps. So I'm just going to talk about different landing types that can happen before I get into the variations again, because we're almost done with this tutorial. There's different ways that you'll be flying towards the obstacle, and your balance and strength and technique dictates how well you can stick consistently. If you're coming down towards it, then you should be coming down a lot, because if you're able to jump this distance, for example, and you jump up, and it'll be hard for you to land straight down. Your stick will want you to keep going farther. You'll probably be off balance, assuming that you make it onto the obstacle. But if you're too low on your jump coming in, you'll just touch it with your feet and fall backwards. That happens a lot. So what you want is to be slightly above it. Here's your obstacle, here's your feet. You want to get the most kind of hypotenuse jump. That's the longest side of a triangle, right? You want to get the distance and be just a little bit above it, so that you still control when you come down to land, and you're not over or under doing it. Now that I feel like I've over-explained how to jump, I guess everybody needs that from time to time. I'll show you some different jump variations. My favorite variation is quite simply just standing 2-footer. Pop. I mean, that's bread and butter. Can't go wrong with that. But I'll show you some other variations as well. I'm just gonna be putting my feet on this. Just make sure you can see that. Good. That's good. Perfect. Other variation is running 2-foot. You get a run, and then you step on it with 2. And that gets you a good jump too, but I feel like that's probably the most awkward of the bunch. It can help you get farther than you would need to for a single jump, and if you need to go more than one jump, running 2-foot is a decent idea. I'll show you that on flat ground too. This one is called strides. This is just basically like a running stride. The name is very literal. It's 1 foot to 1 foot, which means you're just running and then you pick. And when you do strides, there's two different landing styles as well. You can just land on one foot, continuing the stride, so you can keep bounding. Or if you're going through a nice long jump, then this is probably the way that you can get the farthest jump, is to be running 1 foot, take off, do a 2 foot land. Last one I can think of at the moment is 1 foot to 1 foot. This is what we call a moon stride. You just start on one leg, and that same leg is the first one to touch. We'll do that on the floor. It's a lot like skipping. You're doing like potato sack races or something. For that one, you just want to get off the floor. Your leg will help you jump even though it's not touching. Kicks up and behind. So there's really not too much to explain for this kind of thing. This is the best type of parkour training if you ask me. It's my favorite. Who doesn't love jumping far and getting better at jumping? So just recognize these variations and try them where you can. You can use anything. It doesn't have to be that far. When I first came out here, I started by doing it to the bench, the bottom bench. Then I saw if I could do it to the top and going back, because they're all very different challenges. And to do this easier when you're starting out, try and use 2 ledges. This here is a very precise landing, so it requires you to be accurate as well as strong. And that's also true, is the farther you go, the stronger you have to be, the more precision you need to land it perfectly, because you can't just huck it and then not control the landing. So the farther you go, the stronger you should be in order to land it safely. With all that said, I'm gonna hit one more jump to this slide just for demonstration and a little bit of practice, and then I suppose that'll be it. Thank you for stopping in. This is SamTheDingusJumps.com. Subscribe for more.